So, what's up, everyone? I'm Blake Giles, and I am going to teach you how to build an effective team. All right, can everyone see that? Give me a thumbs up if you can see that.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Okay, so building an effective team by, of course, me. So here are some questions to consider while we go through this workshop. What is teamwork? Why is teamwork important in tri-teams? Why do you develop teamwork? And what are the components of teamwork? Now, I'm going to ask one of you what you think teamwork is. I want one of you to give me a definition. Would anyone like to volunteer? Ashlyn Jones, would you like to share?
So I think that teamwork's kind of like working together and like coming together to be kind of like one. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Does anyone else have a definition of teamwork that they'd like to share?
Also, teamwork can just be like working together and working in a team.
Perfect.
Definitely, yeah. These are all great definitions. So what is teamwork? Teamwork is a word I'm certain you have heard before. It is heard everywhere, but what does it mean? Teamwork is the ability for multiple people to work together effectively to complete a task. By this definition, teamwork cannot be achieved alone. So what can you do as 4-Hers to help induce teamwork and cooperation in your respective groups? So this is going to be a bit lengthy and a bit complicated, but you'll just have to bear with me. So components of a team. I personally like to compare a team to an engine. Now, those of you who have done a lot with engines, you know they're quite complicated, but they somehow manage to work. So just like an engine, a team will have several different components, which is the people in the team, that work together to produce a result. Inside an engine, there are many different parts that perform different jobs. The pistons extend and retract while inputting a gasoline mixture and outputting exhaust. The valves regulate the fluids traveling through the engine. The crankshaft transforms translational energy into rotational energy. As you can see, an engine has many different parts that each have different jobs. When building your team, make sure to give everyone different responsibilities that correspond with their strengths and weaknesses. You wouldn't have a crankshaft do the job of a piston, so don't give a teammate a job that is better suited for someone else. Now, most of you probably don't know what these all mean inside of an engine. So here's a different analogy for you. So think of a computer. What are all the things they use for a computer? Well, you have a monitor, you have a keyboard, mouse, speakers, and then the computer itself. Now, you wouldn't exactly have the monitor do the job of the mouse, would you? So just like an engine or a computer setup, each person has their strengths and weaknesses that can provide something to the team. So as you are working in your tri-teams, make sure to give everyone a job that they are well suited for so you can get the best result as a team. Now, I have an activity for all of you. So listed below are several potential teammates in your tri-team, and these are positions that they can fill. So I want each of you to get one of your big sheets of paper, and I want you to create potential positions that would be the best fit for each colleague. So first of all, you have Adrian, and his hobbies include filmmaking and photography. Second, you have Maria. Her hobbies include playing music and reading. Then there's Steve. His hobbies include playing video games and coding. Marcus likes basketball and dancing. Bethany likes math and software design. And Tracy likes cooking and horseback riding. So your objective is to create a video about the 4-H activities in your county. What are the jobs that need to be completed? And here's a note, 2 people can collaborate on one task. Now you have 3 minutes to come up with these, and then we will share.
You can put the groups that need to work.
And I'm going to separate you into your counties and breakout rooms, and that is where you will do it. All right, time is up. So who would like to present their list of positions? I'm guessing Davis wants to go. All right, we'll have Davis go first and then Kane County. So we're ready when you are, Davis.
Okay. So we didn't quite finish, but we first came up with the jobs, and we have Michaela here to describe what we thought were good jobs.
Okay. The cameraman, he said was Adrian. I don't have the thing anymore.
Explain why.
Yeah. I know that the published video with Bethany and Steve, because Bethany likes software design and Steve likes coding. Yes, and that would work together really well. The choreograph was Marcus, because he likes dancing. Thank you. The script was Maria, because she liked reading, and I'm assuming she likes writing as well. I can't remember that one. What was that one? I can't remember. that one.
Yep, and that's all we got to so far, but that's ours.
All right, excellent. Those are really
Yeah.
creative ways to employ everyone's skills. Now, I think Kane wanted to present. Do you guys still want to do that? Okay. Kane County, you can go when you're ready. Are you just showing it to us, or were you going to speak? Okay, their audio isn't working. Okay, would anyone else like to present before we move on?
Salt Lake County can go.
All right, Salt Lake, show us what you got.
Turn on the camera. Okay. Adrian is filming and directing. Maria is in charge of music. Steve is editing. Marcus is in the video. Bethany is helping editing, and Tracy's also in the video.
All right, awesome. These are all really good. So we are going to move on now. All right, so what was challenging about this activity? Just put it in the chat or just tell us with your microphones. All right, we have one answer from Wayne County. We didn't always agree on who would be best where. Now, sometimes it's really difficult in order to decide what would be the best option. Not everyone is going to have strict skills that apply to every situation. So sometimes you really have to be creative with what you can employ. For Morgan County, we didn't know what the jobs would be, so we had to make our own jobs. We had to find a job for everyone. And inclusion is a huge thing in 4-H, so this is a great answer. All right, I think we're going to move on from this. Good job, everyone. All right, so next up in teams is the development of teams. So every team goes through 5 stages of developments. Number 1 is forming. This stage is when the team first comes together. They are unfamiliar with one another and struggle to communicate. They are still forming. Number 2 is storming. This stage is when the team starts to become a little more familiar with one another, but their ideas clash and they struggle to cooperate. Number 3 is norming. This stage is when the team learns to accept their differences and begin to trust each other. This is when the actual teamwork begins. Number 4 is performing. This stage is when the team is at its peak. Each teammate works with each other efficiently and they trust each other enough to know the job will get done. And number 5 is transforming/adjourning. This stage is when the team has completed their objective. They either separate or transform themselves for different roles in future teams. Now, I hope all of you are at least in the storming and norming stages. And as you continue to work as a team, you'll eventually get to performing stage, which is when you will be a successful tri-team. Now, I have a video on this, but we don't have time for that. So we'll move on. So there is one last thing to know about teamwork. So what does everyone think is the most important part of being in a team? Just put it in the chat. Showing up, that's a good one. Being open-minded is also a good one. Doing your part, compromising, participation, the peeps, awesome. These are all really great for teamwork. Cooperation, working together. Communication, Sanpete, great job. That's what I was just about to say. So in my humble opinion, I think communication is the most important for teamwork. So communication is vital in teams. Without communications, teams wouldn't be able to function. Keep in mind to communicate with your fellow teammates and let them know about yourself and your project. It is very difficult to form a team without some kind of connection. Try and make that connection with others in your team. Now, I have another video right here. All right, in this video, we'll dive into more about communication and forming human connections in order to become better acquainted with your team.
And designers have in common. Neither are inclined to work together as a team. Golfers train and compete as individuals, except for the occasional tournament like the Ryder's Cup. Designers believe they can design it all, except for when they're making software. And today, I want to talk to you about how we build effective teams and how that affects our output, especially in situations where we group together people trained as individuals, and we expect them to become a high-performing team, like we do in our work environments. And I came across this story about golf when I was dealing with my own failures with building a cohesive team. And it taught me lessons about teamwork, connections, and communication that I want to share with you today. But first, the story. It starts in 2008. And the Ryder's Cup US golf team captain was a man named Paul Azinger. Paul had this problem. He had to bring together golfers to become a team, but he only had 1 week. And traditionally, the teams before him paired golfers by skill set, much like the way we build teams. But Paul had a different idea. He wanted to pair personalities. And he believed if they could communicate a well-placed comment, a subtle facial expression, they could propel each other across the green for the win. And he was right. They finally won that tournament. What Paul figured out, and the teams before him missed, was that the golfers understood skill set. They knew the goal, win the Ryder's Cup. But what he gave them was the opportunity for better connection and stronger communication. Now, what does this have to do with designing software and teaching students to design software like I do in my day job? Where I work, we're traditionalists, and we think in skill sets. Pair this visual designer with this design researcher, point them towards the right goal, and you have the best team ever. We know this is not true, yet we perpetuate this idea every day. And I brought this idea into my classroom where I teach design portfolio. And this is typically the last class students go through before they enter the job market. And I unwittingly hammered home in every class, you have to be the best designer with the best portfolio to get a hint at a job interview. So it's no wonder that out of the 15 students in my class, only 3 completed their portfolio. 3. This was a huge failure for me. And as a teacher, I needed to get better. I needed to improve the situation for my students. And I started to focus on one student who was actually so successful in the class, and she got hired right out of the class. And let's call her Emma. Emma's my case study. Emma's approach was simple, yet none of the other teachers, including me, were doing it. And from Emma's perspective, the task of looking for jobs, applying, interviewing, and finishing her portfolio, these were all so daunting that she couldn't do it by herself. And so she gathered together a group of design students who can help her with these skills and support her with these goals. And over time, some of the students left because they didn't have the right skill set, others couldn't commit to the same goals, and some could not or did not want to connect in any meaningful way with the rest of the group. But what this left her with was a solid team. Right level of skills, right level of commitment, right level of connection with each other. And I went further and I asked her current team where she works, why they hired her, and they said, there's no doubt. We knew Emma was awesome and we knew she'd fit in. And I realized at that moment, Emma's ability to build a cohesive team and be effective in it set herself up for success. Now, some of this can be attributed to Emma, but I can still take these lessons and bring it into my portfolio class to improve the situation. And I started requiring or getting my students to communicate with each other by requiring them to check in with every class. And this gave them permission to get up from their computers, help the person next to them, and get more comfortable with asking for help. And I learned that students understand skills. They know the goal, but we have to teach them how to communicate better. And sadly, this is where our education system falls short. What Paul and Emma have showed us is that we have to teach our students to connect more on a human level. We have to teach them to offer value, to be vulnerable, to build skills and to build groups to support them with their lifelong goals. We have to let them know they can't do it by themselves, and that's okay. We can change how our students enter the workplace, how they affect the world around them, if we just teach them how to build cohesive teams. Thank you.
Okay, so to summarize our main points, use people's strengths to your advantage in your team. Teams go through the 5 stages and communication is key. Now, feel free to take a picture or a screenshot of this because these will be very useful to know. I'll leave it up for a little bit, so if you want to do that, go ahead. Okay, it looks like everyone has gotten a picture that wants one, so we will move on. All right, debrief. Now that you know what teams are and how they work, why is teamwork important in tri-teams? Would anyone like to answer that question? Do I need to call on someone? Where is that? Okay. From Wayne County, you have to be able to cooperate when you are working together. Okay, that is good. Anything else? From Davis County, trying with only one person is a lot harder than trying with a team. That is very true. And I know that especially from being a state ambassador. All right, so what did you guys learn from this? Without teamwork, there's no try. We need teamwork to effectively educate younger kids about STEM and healthy living so that you can figure things out with people that have different skill sets. Absolutely. So once again, what did you learn from this? What are some of the key things that we learned in this workshop? Communication is key. Good job, Washington. All right. It's okay if the team doesn't have success right away. That is very true. Part of the forming stage and the storming stages, there's going to be a lot of trial and error, but as you continue to develop as a team, it'll get a lot easier. Faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Thanks, Wayne County. All right, so what are you going to do now that you know this? How are you going to apply these things? Now, what are you going to do with all of these things that you've learned? Does anyone have anything for that question? Okay. To use our teamwork skills to develop our camps and to teach them more efficient and effectively. That is an excellent answer. So I'm going to answer my own question along with this. Oh, San Pete has one. Work on having person-specific tasks so people are comfortable in their position. Perfect. So I'm going to answer this question. So you are all in your own try teams. Now, as you can see, the word team is in try team. So without teamwork, then your try team isn't going to be much of a team. The reason that you all have learned to do this is so you can effectively be a team and get your message across to those you're trying to teach. Okay? And thank you so much for participating in my workshop. I know it was probably a bit long and boring, but I hope you had fun. So remember to use these team building skills when you create your own teams. Now we will move on to more games with Spencer.